All right, the most watched at civic poll elections will be taking place where Mumbai is concerned, not just India's financial capital, but also home to the country's richest civic body and a political prize every party wants to control. And it's coming, this election, after 8 long years. As campaigning for the Brihanmumbai Municipal Corporation draws to a close, this election is shaping out to be far more than a civic contest.
India's richest civic body, India's financial capital, and a political prize where alliances, identity and turnout will decide who governs Mumbai. As parties make the final pitch for the Brihanmumbai Municipal Corporation, 5 key factors are set to shape the verdict. Factor 1. Voter turnout and class-wise participation. Historically, BMC elections see lower voter turnout, a pattern that has favoured Marathi-Sena cadres, backed by deep booth-level mobilization. But a turnout spike could redraw the map. Higher participation among upper-class and non-Marathi voters, who have leaned towards the BJP since 2014, could bolster the BJP-Shinde Sena alliance. Factor 2. Consolidation versus fragmentation of Marathi votes. The battle for Mumbai runs through 144 Marathi-dominated wards. In 2017, a united Shiv Sena swept through these seats. This time, the spotlight is on whether Uddhav Thackeray and Raj Thackeray can consolidate the Marathi vote once again.
जो वोट शेयर बीजेपी का बढ़ा है, सीटें बीजेपी की बढ़ी, वो कांग्रेस की एनमास मूव हुई, वो बीजेपी को हुई. जो कांग्रेस जीतता था 2012 तक, वो 2017 को भाजपा के हाथों में गया.
The pitch is ideology over opportunism, but any split in the Marathi vote will directly advantage the BJP. Factor 3. Hindutva narrative and identity politics. The BJP is sharpening its Hindutva narrative, questioning Uddhav Thackeray's perceived closeness to minority voters.
मैं भाजपा को भी कहता हूं कि जितने सच्चे भाजपाई हैं, जो मराठी, महाराष्ट्र और हिंदुत्व के ऊपर सच्चा प्यार करते हैं, वो सारे हमारे साथ हैं.
The counter is cultural assertion without exclusion. Whether this reassures Marathi Hindu voters or deepens identity polarization could prove to be decisive. Factor 4. Governance, alliances and a triple engine pitch. For the BJP, the argument is power backed by performance.
फिलॉसफी तो यही है, नेशन फर्स्ट. नेशन फर्स्ट की फिलॉसफी से हम रत्ती भर भी इधर-उधर नहीं जाएंगे.
The promise is political stability through alliances and a triple-engine government for faster development. On the ground, the Shinde Sena is pitching delivery over legacy.
तो लोगों ने तय कर लिया है. लोगों ने हमारी शिवसेना बाला साहब ठाकरे जी की विचारधारा वाली एक्सेप्ट कर ली है, क्योंकि हम लोगों के लिए काम करते हैं.
Roads, infrastructure and civic services form a governance-first appeal aimed at urban voters cutting across communities. Factor 5. Minority and opposition vote dynamics. Minority voting patterns remain a critical variable. While the Shiv Sena UBT has traditionally enjoyed strong Muslim support, Congress contesting separately and a possible Congress VBA understanding could fragment the anti-BJP vote, especially in tight ward-level contests. 5 factors, multiple fault lines, and Mumbai at the center of it all. Because in the BMC battle, it's not just about who wins, it's about who controls India's financial nerve center. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, so India Today's top political editors, as well as our crack team in our Mumbai bureau, have come together to come up with 5 X factors that could govern the outcome of the richest civic municipality where India is concerned. We have our guests with us to analyze these factors. Joining me this evening, Sahil Joshi, Senior Managing Editor and Head of West Bureau, Mumbai Tak; Shankar Iyer, political economist, author, columnist; Yashwant Deshmukh, founder, See Voter. We'll also be giving out some of the findings of our See Voter Snap poll, which we conducted at the back of the BMC elections. Sudhir Suryavanshi, Senior Editor, New Indian Express; Jayant Mainkar, political analyst, senior journalist, and our consulting editor with us, Rajdeep Sardesai. Rajdeep, before we break into each factors, what are your 5 factors that could have a huge bearing on the outcome of the BMC elections?
Well, thanks very much, Preeti. Look, if you ask me 5 factors, let's first make it clear that the big factor, according to me, is just how hyper-local will this corporation election be. Remember, the average size of a ward in a Mumbai corporation election is about 50,000. So even 15, 18,000 votes can be enough to win an election in a multi-cornered fight. So it is the localization of elections versus the attempt to make this about a national narrative that I think is important, and I think will prove important in the final stretch, because corporators who have that kind of hold on the local level might just have an advantage over those who push a more national narrative. Number 2, I think, is the demographic shifts taking place in Mumbai. Remember, the Marathi-speaking population in Mumbai, by all indications, is somewhere around 32-34%. It used to be well over 45, almost 50% 50 years ago. Now, that's a big difference that's taken place. And as a result of this, I think that influences electoral outcomes. The general belief is that the so-called outsider North Indian vote tends to go today with the BJP, while the Maharashtrian vote largely rests with the Shiv Sena. Which brings me to factor number 3. Will that Marathi Manus vote be actually consolidated behind the Shiv Sena, or with the Shiv Sena now so divided, will we see a splintering of that Marathi Manus vote? Remember, there are about 130 to 140 constituencies where Maharashtrians make the key difference, and it will have to be seen to what extent does that Marathi vote get splintered. Number 4 is the Fadnavis factor, as I call it. I think Devendra Fadnavis has made this election very much about himself and his persona and his claim to be a Vikas Purush for Mumbai. You haven't seen the likes of Amit Shah, Narendra Modi come and campaign in this election. So it's been fought by local leaders and by Mr. Fadnavis. And it'll be interesting to see whether Mr. Fadnavis is able to cut across the caste, community, linguistic barriers in a city like Mumbai. Number 5 is interestingly what some refer to the Mamu factor, Marathi plus Muslim. This enabled the Shiv Sena, UBT and the Congress, which was then its ally in the Lok Sabha last year, to win 4 out of the 6 2024 Lok Sabha elections of Mumbai. In the Vidhan Sabha, the tables were turned. It became a much closer fight. So will this Mamu factor, Maharashtrians 33-34%, Muslims around 18-19%, will there be a consolidation of that vote, or will we see a divided opposition vote now that the Congress also is fighting on its own? And will that come to the advantage of the BJP-led alliance? So these are some of the factors I would say will be critical come voting day.
All right, so those are Rajdeep Sardesai's 5 factors. We are going to also cut across to Sahil Joshi. But what I'm going to do is just, take a minute and reflect on the numbers that were recorded in the last elections. The last BMC elections, viewers, took place 8 years ago in 2017. And this is how it panned out in terms of wards. So where it comes down to who had the advantage, well, the numbers right on your television screen. This was the vote share where 2017 BMC election was concerned. The Shiv Sena was a united front at that point of time. So there is a lot which has changed since then. A lot of water has flown down the Mitti. The BJP was at a 27% and the Congress at a 16%. And mind you, Shiv Sena's 28% had both Eknath, Shinde and the UBT, undivided Shiv Sena. Those were the numbers there. Let's look at the ward share on what were the numbers then. Let's bring those numbers out in terms of, as the best bus goes by. The 2017 BMC, all right, we still have the vote share numbers going on, which is NCP at 5%. Let's get the ward share numbers. Total 227 wards across the Mumbai municipality, and you have Shiv Sena, undivided Shiv Sena, mind you, take that with a pinch of salt, 84. So BJP 82, and BJP was all alone. Congress 31. So if you look at numerically, Sahil, and I want to bring in our senior managing editor on this, just going at the back of what the numbers were in 2017, 8 years ago, an undivided Shiv Sena was just minutely ahead of the BJP, and now a big faction of that Shiv Sena stands with the BJP. So precedent would demand that advantage NDA.
Well, as you know, even yesterday we had the discussion, and you know, my whole point was the same. The numbers clearly show. I mean, at least the mathematics, or you call it, or the algorithm, what we call it, it clearly shows the advantage the BJP and Eknath Shinde's Shiv Sena, because 144 Marathi-dominated seats, Marathi voter-dominated seats, 79 won by Shiv Sena, undivided Shiv Sena in 2017 elections. But despite that, why the numbers of the BJP increased in 2017? The jump in the BJP's numbers were because the BJP managed to win 44 seats in the Marathi-dominated population. And where the BJP made a dent, the BJP went to the affluent Marathi class, BJP went to aspirational Marathi class. The BJP, Devendra Fadnavis, promised them the development in Mumbai. Devendra Fadnavis gave them a development model, and that is how that shift happened. But now what has happened is that the core Marathi voter, which has been voting for Shiv Sena for years together, especially the lower middle class, the middle class Marathi voter, who was splitting because Eknath Shinde has split away from Uddhav Thackeray. Because the Raj Thackeray has now come with Uddhav Thackeray and they have formed this alliance, the whole pitch by both the brothers that, you know, look, if you do not vote for us, your political patronage in this city is going to vanish. Your political influence, the Marathi political influence over the city of Mumbai is going to vanish, because Thackerays will not be in power or in an influential position within the BMC, the Mumbai Municipal Corporation. Whether that pitch works and that consolidation happens, whether both of them coming together, able to take away the majority of 70% chunk out of the Marathi voters, that is going to be the key. And also the point which Rajdeep was trying to add. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to come right back to you. I want to bring in Yashwant, because we've spoken so much about the domination of the Marathi vote, especially vis-a-vis on what happened the last time around, the BJP taking a fair chunk of that. But Yashwant Deshmukh, to pull you in on this, and we'll ask our producers back in to put out the graphics on the political stock exchange, the numbers that we had last night, which was a snap poll conducted by India Today and See Voter, and that one question that was asked on who is the true inheritor of brand Thackeray. And it did seem to suggest those numbers, and let's play those numbers out from the political stock exchange last night in favor of the Thackeray brothers, because if, let's play those numbers out, can we get those numbers? All right, the question that was put forth, who is the rightful inheritor of the Thackeray brand? Yashwant Deshmukh, if you actually add up both Uddhav Thackeray and Raj Thackeray, it's advantage Thackerays where the Marathi vote is concerned. But having said that, a larger question beckons. The inheritors of brand Thackeray, as per the voters of Mumbai, seem to be the Thackeray brothers, but the brand in itself has been diluted over time. Does it have the same kind of influence? Not quite.
Well, yeah, I mean, and actually this makes sense when you just revisit what Sahil just mentioned, that, you know, last time the performance of Devendra Fadnavis in the Civic polls was not because BJP managed to win all the Gujarati-dominated seats or Hindi-dominated, but the 82 seats came in because they managed to win 40+ seats in the Marathi areas. And I have very short 2 points to make here, Preeti. Number one, let's not forget the fact, forget Mumbai. Let's talk about Marathi Maharashtra, that is outside Maharashtra. Since 2015 assembly election, BJP is the biggest party in the Marathi Maharashtra in terms of votes and in terms of seats for the last almost 11 years. That's a fact. So somehow when we try to overemphasize the Marathi Manus equation, we are almost kind of thinking as if Marathi voters do not vote for BJP. That's a wrong premise to start with. BJP is the biggest party of the Marathi voters for the last 11 years. That's a fact. Let's deal with that. Okay, number one. Number two, in which we just are not talking about the anti-incumbency. Please remember, Even with the 84 seats for the first time, BJP actually gave outside support to Shiv Sena. They were not part of the BMC administration along with. So what has happened in the last few years, that the incumbency or the anger of things not getting done, which was equally shared by the BJP and the Shiv Sena together when they were in power, in the last term around, the sheer failure and the thing and the anger against of not things getting done has to be with Shiv Sena alone. So that is an important factor. So going by that parameter, yes, the poll shows Marathi sentiment is still largely with the Thackeray's, no doubt. But
Right.
it is not a one-way traffic. It is not at all a one-way traffic. And it's not just about if Shinde has a major share or Uddhav Thackeray has a major share. I think the 400-pound gorilla in the room, which people are not talking about in the Marathi leadership, is Devendra Fadnavis. He has single-handedly made himself as one of the most critical Marathi leader after, I guess, and Rajdeep can correct me, but I don't think that after Sharad Pawar, any other Marathi leader has created that kind of a domain for himself in Marathi politics that, or in Maharashtra politics, that he is either a king or a kingmaker. After Sharad Pawar, that kind of stuff has been prepared only by Devendra Fadnavis. So we have to be careful, while, dealing with the Marathi equation and keeping Devendra Fadnavis out of that.
All right, Shankar Iyer, do you concur? Because at one point of time, we've so much of conversation around the Thackeray brothers coming in together, getting in the Marathi vote. How much will they get, and what if the Muslim vote combines with them? But the demography of Mumbai has changed over decades now. The Thackeray brothers might be the inheritors of the brand Thackeray, as per at least with our Snap poll seems to suggest. But our Snap poll also suggests that most think that brand Thackeray is not that relevant anymore.
Well, if Brian Thackeray was all that relevant to the voting pattern or influence over voters, then we would have seen it in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections and in assembly elections. Having said that, I sort of issue a caveat for Yashwant that we should not celebrate the day before we reach the evening. So Mr. Fadnavis is definitely rising, definitely a leader of Maharashtra, and that has got much more to do with the way he looks at development rather than just the identity politics. And it's in a long way. I think we should hold our horse because that same persona did deliver in the Lok Sabha.
Shankar Iyer, there's a problem with your audio. We're going to try and correct that, and come back to you, because Shankar Iyer seems to suggest we still have to wait before we give that pedestal to Mr. Devendra Fadnavis of being the second most prominent Marathi leader post Sharad Pawar. But we're going to correct. Can we correct Shankar Iyer's audio and go back to him? But Jayant Mainkar, what do you think are the top 5 big factors, at least the ones we've put out where it comes down? A lot also will be, like Sahil and Rajdeep suggested, voter turnout. It will come down to the class divide where Mumbai is concerned.
Well, I accept that the Mamu factor, Marathi-Muslim combined, will it be because Shinde's faction has left, and is there any gap? So the point is this: while we are saying there was a Mamu factor even in Lok Sabha elections, which gave 4 seats to Shiv Sena, but simultaneously 7% votes of MNS are also coming to Shiv Sena. So that is why, the gap, as the Shinde Sena has left, it will not be that wide. And then secondly, particularly from 5th of July till day before yesterday's rally, all these 2 days, I will mention that whether one will say not only Marathi Manus or Devendra Fadnavis has also reached Marathi Manus, whatever, but particularly the foreseeable Hindi, that particular thing on 5th of July, the unity among 2 brothers, which the Shiva Sainiks were waiting for 20 years, that particular incident, and after coming together, this will be the first election. So I accept that it's a do or die situation for the political career of both Uddhav and Raj, but particularly I find this thing of Hindi, that Hindi should be the language, the forcing Hindi language on 5th of July, and then day before yesterday's rally has put Thackeray brothers one step ahead. And though Congress has not joined hands with them, I feel
Okay.
whatever that happens, but Congress will support definitely to Thackeray brothers only when the time comes.
But Jayant Mainkar, you say one step ahead, but is that step enough to draw a one step ahead in BMC elections?
Yes.
Is it enough?
Yes.
Do they have the
Yes.
stamina to carry it through? You're saying they do.
Yes. Because
Okay.
I find that Thackeray brothers are really one step ahead, particularly after day before yesterday's rally.
Okay.
And
You're
I
saying the
find
last couple of days have been
I'm
crucial to the rise of the Thackeray's, especially where the Marathi vote bank is concerned. Important point that you make. Sudhir Suryavanshi, do you concur? Rajdeep and Sahil will come back to you. Allow Sudhir Suryavanshi to come up with his intervention.
See, if you see BJP and Uddhav Thackeray, Shiv Sena and MNS on paper, so definitely BJP is more stronger structurally. BJP is more stronger in resourceful. BJP is more stronger in its strength wise. But if you see BJP in the context of 2017 election, that time, Devendra Fadnavis was became a chief minister of Maharashtra. Ashish Sharar was the Mumbai BJP unit president. So under their leadership, BJP had made big jump from the 35 to 82. Almost there was only 2 seats different between the United Shiv Sena and the BJP. That time BJP was a very fresh party. Devendra Fadnavis' face was also very fresh and promising, and everybody was aspirant, as the Sahil said, aspirant class, affluent class, upper middle class, were saying something that Fadnavis will deliver something for the city that was lacking. Because I personally covered the BMC for a long time.
Okay.
Initially, I used to see many Parsi faces as a corporator. In the meanwhile, there are many Marathi faces, and the later on, I started seeing many North Indian faces in a large number. So it means that there is a big demographic change also. When the Subhash Desai from the Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena, he lost against the Vidya Thakur. That time he lost by 6,000 first time. Second defeat was by 20,000. So it means that demography is also speedily changing. On the other hand, the Marathi Manus, both the Thackeray's are talking, and Marathi Manus is shifting where the far flung of the Mumbai suburb, Vasai, Virar, Panvel, we don't know the locations also. So
All
these
right.
are
Okay.
the factors.
Okay. Rajdeep, many would suggest that maybe why are we talking so much about the Thackeray brothers? And Yashwant Deshmukh has said it many a times that there is this big factor where Devendra Fadnavis is concerned as well. But now that we are talking about it, Rajdeep, are we overemphasizing the influence of the Thackeray brothers coming together, especially after the speeches and the rallies of the last few days?
Well, Preeti, I think, look, the Thackeray brothers coming, or cousins coming together after 20 years is why this election becomes significant. It is an existential battle for the Thackeray's. Do they retain the Thackeray brand, or has Eknath Shinde virtually snatched it away from them? The Shiv Sena itself gets about 23-24% of the vote. Does Raj Thackeray add to the UBT Shiv Sena vote, or will he alienate some of those who embraced the Shiv Sena in the 2024 Lok Sabha, like Muslim voters? I think for the Thackeray brothers, this is truly a do or die battle. There's absolutely no doubt about that. They've lost the Vidhan Sabha, they've lost elections outside Mumbai. Without Mumbai as their citadel, as their base, they will find it very difficult to retain their karyakartas or workers. So is Raj Thackeray a force multiplier? He certainly added with that speech that he made a lot of vigor to the Shiv Sena campaign, but it also put off a lot of people who are completely angry with the kind of coarsen language he used, particularly against Annamalai and Tamil. So he's a bit of a double-edged sword. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And really, for the Thackeray cousins coming together, will they be able to save their own political careers is still a big question mark.
Okay.
The Shiv Sena
All right. Okay, Sahil wants to come in, but so does Yashwant Deshmukh. Allow me to bring in Yashwant Deshmukh. You wanted to come in? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to Rajdeep's point that it's a do or die battle. I mean, obviously, it's a that kind of equity on the table. But at the same time, when I'm looking at the entire pitch of the campaign, Preeti, I can not help but notice that the entire focus of Thackeray brothers is only and only Marathi Manus voter, and thinking that Muslims will vote for them automatically in order to defeat the BJP. Now, the comments which Raj Thackeray made ensured only one thing, that non-Marathi voters are gonna go away. So that is one thing for very clear. We are not talking about any possible split in the non-Marathi voters. We are not talking about any possible split among the Muslim voters. The focus is now about the possible split of the Marathi voters, or the what kind of split would be there between Devendra and Shinde faction and the Thackeray's faction. So when you look into the arithmetic of it, so in order to safeguard the Puritan Marathi base, they have managed to somehow antagonize the entire non-Marathi base. Now, if it is going to be useful or not, whether it is going to be a successful strategy, it might have worked a few decades back, as Rajdeep said, but the demography of Mumbai has changed. And that is something which tells me it might not be a very
the politics, basically, Sahil, would you want to, come in on that? The politics of counter-polarization could come up and really bite the Thackeray brothers' political pitch this time.
Well, more than that, I really think that counter-polarization is not going to be very effective for the BJP, as we have already shown in the numbers that the BJP could manage to get close to Thackeray's only and only because they could make dent in the Marathi-dominated areas and they could sell their pitch of the development which Devendra Fadnavis was trying to sell. But I would just like to make the last point about, which is not political, which is clearly depends on the numbers. I would just come to the voting percentage. Everyone knows that be it Lok Sabha, be it Assembly, the numbers, the voting percentage numbers in Mumbai have always been lesser than that of the rest of the Maharashtra or any other.
You're talking about the class divide here as well.
Yeah, no. So listen, so what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to the BMC election, it goes even down because the lesser number of people come out and vote in the BMC elections. And that is where the BJP must be fretting at this point of time, because the BJP's numbers in 2017 increased is because for the first time in last 20 odd years, for the first time, the BMC, during the BMC polls in 2017, the vote percentage in Mumbai crossed 50% mark and reached to 55%. And that is how also the BJP could manage to make that jump to the 82 seats.
Fair point.
Whereas all the elections before, since 1992, the vote percentage has always been around 45%, and that is where the Shiv Sena has always managed to keep their control on the BMC.
And that's where also, Sahil, the class divide comes in, because usually stereotypes of psephology seem to suggest if the voting percentage is less, then you're having not the upper class come out, which is the traditional vote base of the BJP.
And that happens in Mumbai. That happens in Mumbai.
So that's the political point that Sahil's trying to make. I'm taking final comments. Shankar Iyer, do we finally have you? If you do, final comments, sir.
This will basically a GPS election. On GPS, you have to plot the per square feet value of the property of the area where vote happens. You have to plot their vegetarian, non-vegetarians, as I joke with yesterday, voting percentage, the demography, everything. But one Preeti that not discussed is the level of apathy, the complaints about Christians, about corruption.
Shankar Iyer, I am afraid, sir, there's a problem with your audio. We've been trying to correct it. I'm afraid we can't hear you. I apologize, sir. There's a huge problem with your audio link there. Jayant Mainkar, do you want to come in? Final comments, Mr. Mainkar?
Yeah, I mean, there is a sort of the description on the language percentage also. Around 35% are Maharashtrians, 23% are North Indians, 11% are Gujaratis, and as what is mentioned, that even 18 to 20% are Muslim votes. And any sort of alliance between, as it is stated, Mamu, the Marathi and Muslims are not going to vote definitely for BJP, and they had already voted for Shiv Sena. So naturally, considering this alliance, that is why I said that I keep Thackeray's Thackeray brothers, with the two brothers are coming together, with MNS having at least 7% votes, of course, in Marathi-dominated area. And though BJP may have had whatever 44 seats in 2017, but after that, the situation has changed in 2019, and I'm looking only at the present situation. And I'm mentioning the days also from 5th of July, when the fourth Hindi, the two brothers came together against protesting against the forced Hindi, and day before yesterday's rally. These
Okay.
these two events,
You're
I'm
saying
again
could change the
repeating.
course.
Yes, these two events.
Okay, these two events
Yes.
could change the course. You know, one thing I
Yes.
think what we began with and what we are possibly ending in with the fag end of this conversation is the Mamu factor could really prevail. But will the Muslims vote for the Congress, even knowing that the Congress doesn't have the might to defeat the BJP? Will they ally with the Shiv Sena? There are also parties like the AIMIM which are hoping to represent their interests. And will they go with the AIMIM, a third party, where they think that maybe their interests are represented? Sudhir Suryavanshi, final comments.
See, in this election also, Thackeray versus Shinde, there are 87 seats. While the Thackeray versus BJP, there are 97 seats. As Sahil has rightly pointed out, last time BJP has made major dent in the Marathi votes. But in 2017, I covered the election that time. I didn't find that much resonance among the Marathi voters, and the Thackeray were not able to touch the court. Uddhav Thackeray got 84 seats in the BMC due to strong shakas and his corporate work and strong candidate. But this time I am seeing the resonance among the Marathi voter because of Thackeray brother joining the hand. Whether that will really make the difference, that is the most important thing. Second important thing,
Yes.
Muslim voter were consolidatedly voted to Mahavikas Agadi means Congress and Uddhav Thackeray in Mumbai. But a local election, these votes will get divided among the many multiple parties like MIM, NCP, to NCP, then Congress, there is Vanchit Agadi, there is Uddhav Thackeray is there. So whether this 18 to 20% votes, where it will go, if it get divided in the large number, and then I think then it is very tough for the Thackeray to come back.
Okay. So, well, interesting, Rajdeep, because we've been talking about now two big issues that are emerging of all the factors that we discussed, and we discussed 5 big factors that could influence this election. 2 biggest ones, the Mamu factor, the Muslim Marathi vote coming together, and who it could impact. And number 2, the class divide and the voter turnout are 2 most talked about factors. And Sahil, correct me if I'm wrong, you can come in, but Rajdeep, you've spoken, right in the beginning about the Mamu factor. Want to reflect on the class and the voter turnout impact on the results?
Look, I think what is one of the most interesting factors, Preeti, in BMC elections is that the more affluent areas hardly vote. The lowest voting percentages are those where the per capita income is the highest, the areas like Malabar Hill. Who goes and votes? The poor vote. That happens in most elections, but in BMC that gets even more accentuated. And that is where, as I said, local factors will matter. If I'm a Shakha Pramukh, a branch head of the Shiv Sena who's working closely with people in a chawl or a slum, I might have an advantage in an election like this. Let me also point out one more factor that perhaps I ignored earlier while you were asking me the 5 big factors, which is resources. The amount of money that some candidates have and their links with real estate is quite staggering. We've been given amounts of how much people are willing to pay for one vote that are quite shocking and just reveals the high stakes involved in an election like this. So maybe if you go to a poorer area and you're willing to distribute that kind of money to win votes, who knows what impact that can have on the final election, election results of Mumbai.
Okay, all right. Okay, Shankar Iyer, I think we've tried to get you back again.
Well, this is the DPS election, basically valuation of all of this will things that have not been discussed.
Sir, we can hardly hear you. We can't hear you, sir. We've tried 3 times over. This election, your vote, at least on the channel, is disqualified because we can't hear you. There's an issue there. Sahil, final comments.
Well, I'll just put forward 5 points which I have just jotted down, after the whole conversation. The first
Go ahead.
and foremost, even if Devendra Fadnavis is the one who will pull out votes for the BJP in Mumbai, despite that, the consolidation of the Marathi-speaking votes in Mumbai is going to be the key factor in the upcoming BMC elections. If the two brothers manage to snatch 70% of the chunk, 60 to 70% of the chunk of the Marathi-speaking voters, then they will have an edge. The second factor, which is going to be the Hindutva, the original pitch of Balasaheb Thackeray, now the BJP is pushing forward to it. If the BJP manage to push it forward thoroughly, then they will retain those kind of votes, at least in Mumbai. The third factor, which I think is going to be the selling of the triple engine, which which the BJP always tries to do in the state elections, the double-engined one. Here in Mumbai, the triple engine, whether it works or not, that is something which is going to be important. The fourth factor is going to be the Muslim votes, which have been going to Shiv Sena UBT since Lok Sabha and Assembly elections. Now this time, the Congress fighting against the Shiv Sena UBT and MNF alliance, whether the Congress pulls those Muslim votes towards them, that is going to be the last. And the last one is the vote percentage, which I had already mentioned.
The vote percentage. Okay, 5 factors that Sahil pulled out. Yashwant Deshmukh, you want to come in? Because of the 5 factors that Sahil gave, and just to reflect on that, the counter of Hindutva, and if Uddhav Thackeray is getting the Muslim votes, then he also stands to lose a fair amount of Hindutva votes.
Well, on the entire debate on Hindutva and secular politics will be upside down after the results are out, simply because if the Thackeray brothers win, I mean, if Raj Thackeray and Uddhav Thackeray winning together means a win for secularism, then it tells you the times we are living in, Preeti. All right. I mean, let's be
Fair
honest
point.
about it.
Totally. And I think somebody just needs to reflect back in political history to understand the context that Yashwant's trying to make.
So that's, having said that, psychologically speaking, I would be very much looking at the fact that this contest might be very much bipolar in nature. And in the previous elections, we have seen almost 30 to 40% votes in Mumbai municipality going to others, independents and smaller parties. That chunk is going to be shrinking further.
Okay.
If that happens, it might also give us an idea how the future of Indian politics is going to evolve in terms of one nation, one election, that bipolarization process that we have been looking at in many of these elections in past that we have covered together. That, the third parties or the independents or the smaller parties, their space is shrinking. Will Mumbai municipality election will be any different from that?
That remains to be seen. Okay. Sudhir Suryavanshi, very short, sir. Final points.
See, I just say 2 lines of fear factor among the Marathi voter. If non-Thackeray political party come in power in BMC, they will lose, or the Marathi will lose the Mumbai. That is fear factor down there, and the continuation dominance of the non-Marathi will continue in Mumbai. That is first thing. Second thing, during the Balasaheb Thackeray, there was an entire generation who was emotionally connected to him and his speeches. They loved, they danced, they do everything on the Balasaheb Thackeray's tour. But there are Gen Z voters, nobody has talked about it, whether to whom they are connected. I think Aditya Thackeray and Amit Thackeray are trying to connect these Gen Z voters, and because these are very aspirant class, these are very development oriented class. If they want to see these two Thackeray as a bringing them as a for the development,
so it's them. Okay. Jayant Mainkar, very quick, sir. Quick interjection. Go ahead. Okay, we don't have Jayant Mainkar. Do we? Jayant Mainkar, you have one very quick intervention, sir.
Yes.
Make your point.
See, I mean, I agree that this unity among the Maharashtrian, the Marathi-speaking people, particularly these two brothers, is of course an important factor. But I agree that how to pull out the voters is most important. And in 2017, when there was a 55% voters turnout, if BJP succeeds in maintaining or increasing that, then they have.
So I think one thing, which is factor number 5 for Sahil, and it's something that we've looked at, which you're right, sir. If it is about 55%, that could be advantage BJP. Anything lesser than that, that could be disadvantage BJP or NDA rather. A quick break. I appreciate all you gentlemen for joining us. Thank you there for taking the time out.